Noong 2020, sinimulan ng Office for Alternative Dispute Resolution ang OADR Webinar Series o mas kilala bilang OWS. Ito ang naging pangunahing advocacy program ng ahensya sa gitna ng kinakaharap noon na pandemya. Ang OWS ang naging pamamaraan ng OADR upang palawigin ang kaalaman ng publiko patungkol sa Alternative Dispute Resolution o ADR. Higit 100,000 individual mula sa pribado at pampublikong sektor ang nakilahok sa 3 seasons ng OWS. Sa loob ng 3 taon, iba't ibang kaalaman patungkol sa mga alternatibong pamamaraan ng pag-aayos ng mga alitan ang atin nang napag-aralan kasama ang mga eksperto sa naturang larangan. Ngayong 2023, inihahandog ng OADR ang pinakabagong programa na maghahatid ng mas malalim at komprehensibong kaalaman patungkol sa Usapang ADR. Ito ang Usapang ADR. Kasama pa rin ang mga eksperto sa larangan ng ADR, tatalakayin natin ang mga bagong paksa at issue sa mundo ng ADR. Sa mas pinaiksi nitong oras, ngunit mas pinasiksik ang mga kaalamang inyong matutuklasan. Muli ninyo kaming samahan sa isa na namang taon ng makabuluhang usapan at sama-sama nating isulong ang pagpapalawig ng paggamit ng ADR sa ating bansa. Dahil sa ADR, mas mabilis, mas madali at mas praktikal ang pagkamit ng hustisya.
Isang mapayapang araw sa inyong lahat. Kayo po ay nakatutok dito sa Usapang ADR Episode 10. Ang episode na ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Office for Alternative Dispute Resolution. Ako po ang inyong host, Joyce Ria Estares, ang inyong makakasama sa ating talakayan ngayong umaga. Sa nakaraang episode, ating napanood ang unang bahagi ng ika-4 na National Alternative Dispute Resolution Convention o NADRC na idinaos noong December 5, 2023. Ating binalikan ang mga usapan patungkol sa emerging trends and innovations in dispute resolution, future of ADR sa private sector, at ADR and technology kasama ang mga eksperto sa larangan ng ADR. Kaya naman, ngayong araw ating mapapanood ang iba pang mga naganap noong NADRC sa ikalawang bahagi ng ating special episode. Sa ating unang session na Future of ADR in the Public Sector, nakasama natin ang iba't ibang opisyal at kinatawan mula sa mga national government agencies upang pag-usapan ang mga plano ng pamahalaan sa pagpapalawig ng ADR sa pampublikong sektor. Ang ating panel ay binubuo ni na Undersecretary Raul T. Vasquez ng Department of Justice, Honorable Leo T. Madrazo, Deputy Court Administrator for Mindanao ng Office of the Court Administrator, Attorney Salvacion Zureta Bacay ng Department of the Interior and Local Government, at ang session moderators na sina Attorney Myra Angeli A. Gallardo Batong Bakal, isang OADR accredited ADR practitioner mula sa National Center for Mediators, at si Attorney Enrique V. de la Cruz, Senior Partner sa Divina Law. Sabay-sabay po natin panoorin ang session on the future of ADR in the public sector.
Allow me to introduce our first resource speaker, and if I may say his credentials again, and of course we shall all be pleased hearing them again. Attorney Raul T. Vasquez, the senior, and we have to emphasize that senior not because of age, only because of chronology, no, in terms of working at the DOJ. He's the Senior Undersecretary of the Legal Services and Liaison Cluster, Department of Justice. USEC Raul T. Vasquez brings in a fresh perspective into the department after more than 3 decades of outstanding private practice. His many achievements began at an early age, graduating as valedictorian in both elementary and high school in his beloved hometown of Bangued, Abra. Thereafter, he took up political science in the University of the Philippines, Diliman, where he graduated magna cum laude in 1983. A true scholar ng bayan, he continued his studies at the UP College of Law, where he graduated in 1987 as class salutatorian and cum laude. So we give him credit for being very consistent in his academic pursuit. Now, prior to his assumption of office last 1 July 2022, he was the managing and senior partner of Vasquez, Bretana, and Sibal Pulido law offices. His areas of specialization included civil, criminal, and administrative litigation, labor law, agrarian law, election law, land titles and deeds, corporation law, construction arbitration, among others. Sa Tagalog po, yan po ang tinatawag na todo na. Lahat-lahat na po. As USEC, he oversees the department's legal staff, Office of the Solicitor General or OSG, and DOJ Legislative Liaison Office, DLLO. He is also the alternate member to the Judicial and Bar Council, JBC, and the principal member of specialized units, programs, and committees under Department Circular Number 29, Series of 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pride and honor to again introduce Attorney Roel T. Vasquez, our USEC Undersecretary.
Welcome back on stage.
Thank you.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Senior partner magagalit.
Nakalagay po dito. Yeah. Okay, next in line is Honorable Leo T. Madrazo. He is a Deputy Court Administrator for Mindanao and Office of the Court Administrator of the Supreme Court. He is a Deputy Court Administrator. Deputy Court Administrator Leo Tolentino Madrazo was born on the 14th of May 1963 in Davao City to parents, the late Attorney Jose R. Madrazo Jr., a practicing lawyer in Davao City for more than 50 years, and Lina Oliveros Tolentino, a retired labor employment officer at the Dole, Davao City. He was a prosecutor for 13 years from 1996 to 2009 before he served as a trial court judge for 8 years in the MTCC and then in the Regional Trial Court until 2018. By a majority vote of the members of the Supreme Court and Bank, he was appointed as Deputy Court Administrator for Mindanao on 4 September 2018 and is currently holding offices in the Davao City main office and the Supreme Court Padre Fora Satellite Office. He has 4 sons to wife Natividad Dulce A. David. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Leo T. Madrazo. And now I turn you over to the senior partner of Divina Law.
Attorney Angie, Divina Law will welcome you with open arms. Good morning, everyone. I chose to introduce our third panelist from the DILG because I've spent a great deal of my career in local government. Kaya malapit po sa puso ko ang DILG. Our next panelist, Attorney Salvacion Zoreta Bacay, has more than 20 years in the public service with the DILG. She has served as a technical staff until she was appointed as Provincial Director of the DILG Quirino Provincial Office, which she steered to its full potential, winning both regional and national awards in the DILG as Best Operating Unit for 3 years. Attorney Zoreta Bakay is an in-house training facilitator for the Local Government Academy Apprenticeship Program since 2004 and the national lead of the DILG Internal QMS Assessment Committee since 2021. Currently, she is the Director 3, Assistant Director of the Bureau of Local Government Supervision, DILG Central Office. Let's welcome Attorney Salvacion Zoreta Bakay. So, Attorney Angie, maybe you can start.
Okay, we're just exchanging pleasantries here, which I hope you do not mind. Okay, so let's start this ball rolling. No? The first question is addressed to Attorney Raul T. Vasquez, Yusek Vasquez. You mentioned a while back the achievements of the DOJ OADR. So I would want to have a follow-up on that. ADR is fast becoming the primary mode of dispute resolution globally. Some even believe that ADR should be called appropriate dispute resolution and not alternative dispute resolution. So, sir, how can the DOJ support and complement this to make ADR the dispute resolution of choice of the Filipinos?
Thank you very much for that question. Actually, the fact that one of our attached agencies is the Office of Alternative Dispute Resolution, that by itself is a signification of our continuing support and our intention to make arbitration and mediation as the forefront in the settlement of disputes. As mentioned during the keynote speech, the DOJ issued recently the 2023 Rules on Mediation with respect to the National Prosecution Service. It will take effect the first day of January the coming year. And there is already a pilot implementation of these rules within Metro Manila, and Prosecutor General Ben Malcontento already issued guidelines in order to ensure that there be a proper, efficient, and fast implementation of mediation and arbitration in respect to certain cases. And I have to mention that the application of the rules with respect to so-called civil aspect of cyber libel, violations of BP 22, as well as cases cognizable by first-level courts, except those mentioned as exceptions there, including Katarungan Pambalangay cases. The idea is to ensure that no cases that are trivial, in a sense, would no longer have to unduly burden the courts, and it would no longer pose as additional drain to scant financial resources of our Filipino brothers and sisters. There is also a move with respect to mediation, and we've been talking to Executive Director Irene about it, the possibility of making ADR as a precondition, similar to a certification to file action, so that no case shall be filed unless and until that was previously mediated. So this could be the move that could, I think, lessen the number of cases, and it would result to decongestion that could impact favorably 5 pillars of our criminal justice system. Game changer talaga yan. Number 1, the law enforcement. Liliit ang mga, they can just focus on major crimes. Prosecution can also litigate on the big crimes in order to ensure that the fight against criminality would be for better purposes. Number 3, the court can also have greater chance to decide cases of major importance. And the corrections, it would lessen the number of persons deprived of liberty who will then have to be incarcerated if they are found guilty. But most importantly, it will ensure as well that the community would be part of it. And the Supreme Court is at the forefront of making sure that all the 5 pillars of the criminal justice system are working in sync or in perfect harmony, in a matter of speaking. Why? We have this vehicle called Justice System Coordinating Council, which is led by the Supreme Court as the lead convener, and the DILG and the Department of Justice as co-conveners, whereby all stakeholders in the administration of justice are made to work together in perfect harmony to help all litigants and complainants. We already have 14 of such special justice zones, 3 of which are special justice zones. One that is in Zamboanga with respect to trafficking of women and children, because that's the gateway to the south. And 2 is Tagaytay for economic development and tourism. And just recently, a month ago, Puerto Princesa for environmental laws. So the effort to make ADR as one of the preferred mode of settling disputes is really a big step forward, and one of the main priorities in the department to ensure that not only should cases or disputes be settled harmoniously and expeditiously, it should also lead to more good relationship and perfect harmony in the community itself. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that answer, Yusek. For non-technical people, for non-lawyers, I just want to have a follow-up question. Does that mean that there should be mediation prior to preliminary investigation?
That is the intention. In fact, under the proposed, the existing now, 2023 rules of mediation, the moment that the case is filed, the prosecutor have an initial chance to assess whether or not this is subject of mediation. And if it does, then he refers the matter to mediation. And let me just contextualize the discussion. We also have a game changer and paradigm shifting initiative or reform in the department, which is the Department Circular number 20, which mandates that the prosecution and the law enforcement should work hand in hand instead of the divide before. Remember that before, fiscals would even harangue, get angry, cast away law enforcers whenever they would be going to them and asking for guidance. From here on, ladies and gentlemen, that's not the case. In fact, if you come to think of it, there is no dismissal of cases anymore. What happens is that if your case is inadequate or insufficient in terms of evidence, the fiscal is not to dismiss, but to refer back the case to the law enforcement or to the complainant for them to gather the additional evidence in order to reach that higher threshold of burden of proof needed, from probable cause to prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction. The idea here is that we have been emphasizing that the leader in the prosecution and investigation of crimes is not the police. It is the prosecutor. This is similar in the US or in the EU, Japan, and Australia. And they are the examples, ladies and gentlemen, because there they only file cases that are ready for filing with a pretty good chance of conviction. And in our case, when we came in, it was a pitiful 23% of cases lead to conviction. That's the percentage rate of conviction before. With DC-20, we are now hovering at around 50 to 60%. The idea is to reach perhaps around 80 or 85, and of course, it's free to dream. In the US or in Japan, they have 95% percent of chances of conviction, unlike in our case. But the more important thing is that with this twin requirement of cooperation and coordination between the law enforcement and the prosecution, plus the higher degree of proof, we are ensuring that no innocent person would unnecessarily be spending a moment of being incarcerated unnecessarily. Because our mantra of real justice in real time is really anchored on the fact that there shouldn't be any miscarriage of justice anymore, at least within our watch. And we are trying to do that to our damnness best, and we hope that all of us would be able to gain the benefits sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yusek, for your extensive, exhaustive answers. Les Divina Law calls my attention. I would want to now share the microphone with Attorney De La Cruz. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Attorney Angie. Exciting developments from the DOJ. And as I said, I'm very close to the DILG. 9 years po akong konsihala, 9 years na board member. And unknown to many, there is also mediation in the local governments. Bukod sa katarungang pambarangay, yung mga sanggunian, nag-mediation for boundary disputes. So, if we have exciting news from the DOJ, we're wondering, are there any updates from the DILG, similar programs in the pipeline? Maybe, ma'am, you can update us. I'm sure everyone is intent on listening to that.
Thank you, sir. From the DILG, in behalf of my good secretary, Secretary Attorney Benjamin Abalos Jr., the pipeline is that for this year, we had just recently completed the assessment of our lupong tagapamayapa or the katarungang pambarangay. So, on Monday, we will have the national awarding where, of course, the DOJ and other partner agencies are invited. And the guidance of our secretary for future endeavor is that to come up with the best practices of our katarungang pambarangay and popularize this so that we can further intensify the operations of the lupong tagapamayapa, thereby achieving an increased settlement rate because as Ma'am Executive Director a while ago reported, we have about 76%.
Kayo nga po ang may pinakamataas eh.
Sila po sa barangay level. Dahil napakahuhusay po nila at ang pinapangalagaan po natin is to maintain that by ensuring that they are capacitated and that we employ the incentives or rewards program through the Lupong Tagapamayapa incentives and awards.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure we've heard from the executive, Attorney Angie. I think now we're going to the judiciary, Attorney Angie.
Of course, we would have to hear from the Supreme Court. Sir, how can the judiciary support or complement to make ADR the dispute resolution of choice of the Filipinos?
Thank you, Ma'am Angie. We prepared actually the answers to some of the questions that were provided earlier, so we will not forget. Will you just allow me to read
Yes, please. Yes,
the
please.
answers that we prepared? Actually, we prepared two papers. One is when I was still with the judiciary. There's a survey or a statistics that we prepared up to 2017, and the one presently is up to 2023 October. But at any rate, let me just read the answers that we prepared. So I will not forget. I'm not as prolific as Yusek Raul here. ADR gave parties the autonomy to seek redress other than court-litigated remedies. Republic Act Number 9285, Alternative Dispute Resolution Act of 2004, and Supreme Court Administrative Matter Number 07-11-08-SC, Special Rules on Court Alternative Dispute Resolution, institutionalized party autonomy or the freedom of the parties to arrange the resolution of disputes with least intervention from the courts. Primarily, this facilitated contract-based resolution, reducing potential court cases that may clog court dockets, considering that civil cases based on contracts take years to resolve. Additionally, typical cases that may be resolved through ADR are complex industry-based conflict, in example, construction, investment, and other commercial cases, which can be effectively resolved by the industry experts. Given this, the introduction of ADR paved the way for remedies that are expeditious, industry-specific in some instances, and less litigious that positively improve case management of Philippine courts. On February 9, 2021, the Court and Bank issued AM number 19-10-20-SC, Guidelines for the Conduct of Court Annex Mediation, CAM, and Judicial Dispute Resolution, the JDR, in civil cases that later took effect on 1 March 2021. Unlike in the Special Rules of Court on ADR, the subject guidelines laid down the mandatory coverage for CAM and integrated the use of the latter in court proceedings. Kanina, one of the slides or presentation that Yusek Irene showed is the survey or statistics. So I was looking at it and tried to compare it with the one I have. Magkalapit naman ho pala tayo. So hindi ho nalalayo. Here, the one that we were able to compile, the success rate of our CAM is 52% as of October 2023, and the overall success rate up to October is 59%. In the table, I will just leave these answers later to the Secretariat. It is shown that the effectivity of the new guidelines has a steady success rate that is shown. This could be due to the increasing number of cases referred, while there is a decreasing number of accredited mediators. Although the total number of unsuccessful mediations is almost half of the total number of cases referred, a large number from the former only reaches the subsequent court proceedings, meaning back to court cases. Therefore, it may be inferred that the procedure in the guidelines gradually reduces court dockets. So that's our
Thank you
answer
very
for
much.
that question.
Thank you very much, sir, for your answer. And of course, we're so interested to have the statistics, albeit shown already by ED Irene earlier on. Sir, in line with these achievements of the Supreme Court, may we ask you how the Supreme Court intends to collaborate with the different agencies, no? Specifically the OADR, as to pushing for or advancing the interests of ADR in the community?
Allow me, ha? The state shall provide for means for the use of ADR as an efficient tool and an alternative procedure for the resolution of appropriate cases, without prejudice to the adoption by the Supreme Court of any ADR system, such as mediation, conciliation, and arbitration, or any combination thereof as a means of achieving speedy and efficient means of resolving cases pending before all courts in the Philippines. Section 2, Republic Act Number 9285. Given this mandate, the SC, together with the OADR of the Department of Justice and other stakeholders, may promulgate interagency rules pertaining to the use and referral of ADR cases. This will standardize the use of ADR as a remedy in the country and serve as a roadmap for the public to determine the proper agency to seek redress.
Oh, thank you very much for that. We look forward to the SC and the OADR, of
Just-
course, having consistent and aligned policies.
Just
on
an as a
ADR.
side, no, as mentioned by Yusek Raul, in order to help decongest our jails, tomorrow, advertisement na rin, there's a National Decongestion Summit tomorrow that is going to be launched and held and the day after for the discussions and breakout groups to be able to help decongest the jails nationwide. So this is part of the thrust now that the JSCC that Yusek Raul also mentioned, the Justice Sector Coordinating Councils were the three major departments of government, the Supreme Court, DOJ, and the DILG are trying to give certain importance to the pillars of justice in the Access to Justice program of the government.
Thank you very much, sir. Attorney, do you have any other questions?
Yes,
for
oo.
Madam?
Kasi kay Attorney Zoreta Bakay, a while ago, the Deputy Court Administrator discussed to us the developments in the judiciary. We're wondering how can the DILG, promote alternative dispute resolution in the local government units because of the 76% success rate of the Katarungan Pambarangay. We would want more of them to avail of it, no, to declog the courts para makatulong ka DCA. So ano po ba ang ginagawa ng DILG towards this end to encourage more LGUs?
That's correct, sir. Mataas nga po, 76%. And one of the activities this year, 2023, that the department pushed forward is the Proclamation number 358. This is the declaration of Linggo ng Lupong Tagapamayapa, which is slated in the month of October, local government month, October 10 to 16 of every year. So this presidential proclamation was signed on October 9, 2023 and was made public on October 11. Now, for the improvement, the thing that we can do, that we are in the a process of ensuring is that we can further refine the assessment criteria for the Lupong Tagapamayapa. Although we have already instituted a improved assessment criteria specifically on the number of cases that are lodged with the Lupong Tagapamayapa in order for it to qualify in the LTIA or the Lupong Tagapamayapa Incentives and Awards. So we have set, actually the assessment team set a minimum number of 10 cases and adherence to the timelines of settlement, whether that would be mediation, conciliation, arbitration.
So parang FAMAS Awards for Katarungan Pambarangay.
Ay, opo.
Or
Samahan
Gawad
po.
Galing Pook, parang ganun pala.
ganun po,
Oo.
opo.
That will encourage more of them, no, to at least train themselves and update their skills. Attorney Angie?
Thank you very much for your answers. Napakagaling pala managalog ni
Bulakenyo po ako eh.
De La Cruz, no? Kailangan po yatang tapatan. Kung hindi man igpawan ang kanyang paggamit ng wikang sarili. Marami pong salamat. Attorney De La Cruz, our distinguished guests, I really want to ask more questions, not even on the cue cards, but I understand that there is a session that is following this session. So, in behalf of Attorney De La Cruz, may we thank Yusek Vasquez, of course, the Honorable Madrazo. And Ma'am, thank you very much for being with us. Marami pong salamat. We wish we could accommodate one or two questions, but I think there are other distinguished guests who will be speaking this morning, and we would love to give the floor to them. Marami pong salamat sa inyong lahat, sir.
Nais po naming pasalamatan ang mga prominenteng miyembro ng panel na ito para sa pagbabahagi ng kanilang kaalaman. Tunay ngang naaayon ang mga paksa ng NADRC 2023 sa tema nitong Emerging Trends and Innovations in Dispute Resolution. Sa parteng ito, bigyan natin naman pansin ang ikalawang session na pinamagatang ADR programs in the government. Dito, ibinahagi ng ating invited panelists ang iba't ibang ADR programs ng kanilang mga ahensya at kung paano ito nakatutulong sa paggampan ng kanilang mga mandato. Sa session na ito, tayo'y pinaunlakan ni Attorney Roel S. Barba, Director General ng Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines, Attorney Emeline Villanueva Talabis, Director ng Land Management Bureau ng Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Attorney Paul Cristan J. Bailon, Deputy Director ng Consumer Protection and Market Conduct Office ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, at si Attorney Genaro C. Jacob, Chief ng Mediation Division ng Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau ng Department of Trade and Industry. At ang amin namang Deputy Executive Director, Ms. Krista Jem Mercado Santos, ang nagsilbing moderator ng session na ito. Huwag na nating patagalin pa, panoorin po natin ito.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone's okay from the shaking, very earth-shaking in discussion earlier. So we've come to the last part of the program, and thank you for staying with us until this time. So first, I'd like to call on stage our distinguished panelists. Let me start off with Attorney Roel S. Barba, the Director General of the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. Attorney Roel Barba is the, as mentioned, Director General of IFOPIL. Prior to his appointment, he served as an Undersecretary of the Department of Trade and Industry, where he supervised several offices and attached agencies of the DTI, such as the Foreign Trade Service Corps, Legal Service, and the Construction Industry Authority of the Philippines, and also the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, among others. So his steadfast leadership is also known in the ASEAN and Asia-Pacific regions, for he served as the chairperson of the ASEAN Working Group on Intellectual Property Cooperation from 2021 to 2023, and currently the APEC IP Experts Group. Friends, let's all welcome Attorney Roel S. Barba. Our next panelist for this afternoon is Attorney Genaro C. Jacob. He is the Chief of the Mediation Division of the Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau. He first joined the Department of Trade and Industry in 1988 at the Bureau of Philippine Standards. A registered mechanical engineer and lawyer, he has been assigned to different DTI offices, namely the Legal Services, the National Capital Region Office, and the Philippine Accreditation Bureau. He also served as chief of both the Adjudication and Enforcement Divisions of FTEB. Friends, we have Attorney Genaro Jacob with us. Next, from the Land Management Bureau of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, we have Attorney Emeline Villanueva Talabis. She is a senior government executive who worked her way up through the ranks of the DNR. She earned her Bachelor of Laws degree from San Sebastian College, Recoletos, Manila. In 2015, she was appointed by the President of the Philippines as Director 3 of the Land Management Bureau and assumed as the Bureau's first woman director. In 2001, she earned the rank of Career Executive Service Officer 4 and was promoted to Director 4 in 2022. She is an expert in land laws and shares her expertise as a resource person on alternative dispute resolution, administration and management, land disposition titling and investigation, among others. She also had extensive trainings in leadership in various land management programs from different national and international organizations. Again, friends, let's welcome Attorney Talabis with us this afternoon. And last but not the least, we have the Deputy Director of the Consumer Assistance Group of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Attorney Paul Christian J. Bailon. So Attorney Paul Bailon currently serves as the Deputy Director of the Consumer Assistance Group of the Consumer Protection and Market Conduct Office of the BSP. With over a decade of experience as a financial consumer protection advocate, he supervises a dedicated team responsible for the processing of complaints, inquiries, and requests for assistance filed by financial consumers against BSP-supervised institutions through the BSP's Consumer Assistance Mechanism. Since passing the bar in 2006, Attorney Tantan has devoted the majority of his legal career to government service, having held roles at the Anti-Money Laundering Council Secretariat and serving as the Deputy Counsel of a government-owned financial institution before joining the BSP. He completed his undergraduate studies in Ateneo de Naga University and earned his Juris Doctor degree from the University of Nueva Cáceres in Naga City. Again, friends, it's all welcome Attorney Paul Christian J. Bailon. Okay, so this afternoon we'll discuss the public ADR programs. We're lucky to have our DG here, Attorney Ruel Barba. I-Fulfill is one of the accredited public programs of OADR along with PAGOR. So we hope next time our other distinguished RPs here can also accredit their programs with OADR. So to start off, ma'am and sirs, can you please share with us an overview of the ADR programs in your agencies and the strategic innovations that that help enhance the effectiveness of ADR in your agency? Let me start off with ladies first. Okay. Let's start with DNR.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all. Good afternoon. We are happy to be here. Thank you for inviting the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. And we are happy to share our ADR program in the department and some of the innovations that we have done so far. So the ADR Alternative Dispute Resolution mechanism is institutionalized in the DNR as early as 2016, when we issued Department Administrative Order number 2016-31. So this administrative order provides the guidelines for the application of ADR in the resolution of land claims and conflicts in the department. So alam nyo naman yung DNR, we issue land titles, no? Original land titling, we issue land patents, and in the course of this activity, mayroong mga conflicting land rights, no? Naglalaban-laban ang mga claimants, and so we have to adjudicate who has the better right, no? So that that land titling will proceed. And so this is a felt need in the department. This is also a response to the Alternative Dispute Resolution Law, Republic Act 9285, that we are actively promoting and institutionalizing ADR process. So ang departamento po namin, mahigit libu-libong kaso sa lupa ang ina-adjudicate namin. And you can just imagine the dockets of land cases in our regional offices and in our central offices, yung aming mga appealed cases. So, kailangan po talaga i-apply ang ADR sa amin sapagkat this is the fastest resolution that we can have, and that aside from that, the parties are given the autonomy to settle their cases, and this has been greatly effective in declogging our court cases. So for 2022, as of 2022, ang resolution namin is at 44% success rate in the ADR resolution of land cases. So, on the innovations, first, we have a pool of ADR officers na trained, no? So we are constantly training our ADR officers, and mahigit 400 na po yung aming na-train, and these ADR officers are accredited by the OADR, no? And in the training of our ADROS, partner namin ang core group, yung conflict resolution group ni Ma'am Mia Corpus. And we've been doing this since 2017, and but we are far off the bat, no? Ang aim namin is at least a senro should have at least one ADRO, because dun sa aming community office, dun talaga yung frontline. So doon nag-uumpisa yung kaso sa lupa. When someone applies for a title, then there comes someone protesting the processing of that patent, of that title. So doon pa lang sa senro, nagkakagulo na. Marami nang naglalaban-laban at nag-aaway-away. So we make it a point that there will be ADROs in every office, and that that ADRO will be assigned to immediately come in and take the case for resolution. So it is required that in every stage of the proceeding, kailangan i-ADR namin yung kaso. So first is that we have institutionalized the ADROs in the department, and we also have an information system. We call this the ADR MRS, Monitoring Results System, wherein naka-database ang lahat ng cases for ADR, and the supervisors, the officials of the department can see what's happening, no, status of all these cases. So, hindi pwedeng tutulog-tulog yung ADR officer na ilang taon na sa kanya yung case, hindi niya ginagalaw, no? Kailangan nandun sa database makikita kung lumalakad yung case, no, and what's the status of each case. Then we also have devised forms, yung pro forma, lahat ng documentation namin ay pro forma, and in fact translated in local language, local dialect, because sa mga senros namin, syempre, ang mga parties, contending parties, sometimes hindi marunong mag-English or hindi sila marunong magsalita, hindi nila naiintindihan. So that makatulong, maintindihan nila, when they fill up the forms, merong nag-a-assist yung ADRO at sa local dialect nakatranslate. And then we also have meron kaming mga iba pang guidelines. Meron kaming virtual ADR, no? During the time of the pandemic, we came up with these guidelines na pwedeng hindi pumunta. The parties can have the option to do ADR, participate in ADR through Zoom. And then, marami pa kaming ibang policies, mahaba. So later, those are just some of the innovations that we have.
Yes, on the part of IPOFIL, actually our journey in ADR started in 2004 when the ADR law was passed. No? So at that time, they trained IPOFIL personnel to be mediators. Unfortunately, wala nangyari because at that time we started with voluntary, di ba? So walang gusto makipag-mediate at that time, no? So it fizzled out. Then in 2010 or 2011, it was revived. So voluntary pa rin, no? With the support of WIPO. So that time, we also included in WIPO yung services namin, yung WIPO mediation, which is advantageous if one of the parties is abroad. No? Then in 2018, inisip namin why not make it mandatory, di ba? Para all the parties can have the chance to have a settlement. So, in 2018, we made it mandatory. So, hanggang ngayon, mandatory siya. I just attended a conference in Alicante, Spain sa EU IPO. And sa kanila, ang pinag-aawayan pa nila is whether to make it voluntary or mandatory. Kasi sa kanila, importante yung you have the freedom to choose. Di ba? Kung ano yung gusto mong gawin sa buhay mo. So currently, we have 3 services. One, mandatory mediation, which is usually held before the case is being heard or magpursu sa adjudication. Second, we have the WIPO, yung WIPO arbitration route. Then third, may bago kami ngayon, mediation naman outside of litigation. So ngayon, binabaliktad naman natin, magiging voluntary naman ulit to, no? And we want to give the parties the chance to settle among themselves bago mag-file ng kaso. So currently, we have 9 cases pending. So sabi nga nila dun sa Europe, oh, you're very lucky, you have 9. And yung success rate naman namin sa mandatory mediation is 34.4%. 756 out of 2,100 plus. So, bago pa lang magsimula yung adjudication process, declag na kagad yung dockets namin by 1/3. Yeah, oo. So, yun. And yung mga innovations namin, same as kay ma'am, nung nagka-pandemic, online lahat, no? So, up to now, we still offer yung online mediation. In fact, even sa adjudication, if I'm not mistaken, we're the first one to have virtual hearings. Hindi pa nagde-decide yung regular courts that time. Meron na kaming virtual hearings. Sina Attorney Hoffy can attest, no? Yung mga IP practitioners. So, secondly, isa pang innovation, I think, would be, kasi yung 17, we have 17 mediators right now. Sila pa yung original mediators namin noong 2011. No? So, we just had a training for a mediation accreditation course. So, hopefully by January, we will add young blood to the current mediators namin. So, yun, continuous din yung training nila. Capacity building on negotiations, on, di ba, settling cases, and also substantive knowledge on intellectual property.
Thank you, D. Barba. How about Attorney Jojo for DTI?
Hi, good afternoon. In DTI, we have this already long time ago. Even before the ADR law, would you believe na yung the law, EO 913, although it's an executive order, it's a law. We have, based on that, the DTI came out with the ministry order. So, hindi pa sa department order. Ministry order number 69. I can't forget this because I was assigned as a mediation officer before in the Bureau of Philippine Standards. So, we mediate yung mga cases, not only yung consumer complaints in DTI. So, I was another bureau director asked a question, that's why I remember, why is the director of the BPS was asked, why is your mediation officer, and he put the name, is the one prosecuting the case at the Office of Legal Affairs. So, then siguro ngayon, parang it's surprising, why would the mediation officer prosecute? But Section 12 of that Ministry Order number 69 provides that, specifically states that the mediation officer who mediated the case shall prosecute the case at the Office of Legal Affairs, which is now the legal service of the DTI. That's where nagsimula yung aming mediation. But then, of course, with the ADR law and the Executive Order 523, the DTI came out with DAO 20-02, which now in the basis of our mediation. The ADR that we use is mediation. in DTI. We have a specific timetable within which to finish the mediation. In every step of the process, there's a period within which to finish every action or step. Like for example, when we receive the complaint, we have 3 days within which to assign it to a mediation officer who should be issuing the notice of mediation within 3 days. That the schedule of that mediation should be within 10 days, including the 3 days. So 7 days na lang ang time niya within which to schedule and set for mediation. Now at present, we have online mediation through MS Teams. We're using that since the pandemic. But before that, may face-to-face ang aming ginagamit na mediation. So nakita natin effective, so continuous yung aming pagkakaroon ng paggamit ng MS Teams as a mode to conduct mediation. And even, I think, sa adjudication portion. And upon process namin, if I may continue, is that, so first, we evaluate if it is within the jurisdiction of the DTI. And another thing is, if the party being complained of is a bagwis awardee. We have that in DTI, yung establishment that has this accreditation, bagwis accreditation. So may mga categories yan. And if they are, the respondent or the party being complained of is a bagwis awardee, that complaint will be referred back to that party being complained of, that complaint, for the party being complained of to look for a settlement within 7 days. Otherwise, the mediation officer, the assigned mediation officer, will issue the notice of mediation. So it will proceed na. So if the party being complained of is not a bagwis awardee or does not have an accreditation, wala na yung 7 days. So diretso siya na magpo-proceed sa mediation. So and that's the process. So magkakaroon ng mediation which is confidential in nature, and of course the mediation officer is impartial. Our mediation officer has undergone trainings also, and during the mediation sinasabi niya yung rules that should be followed, yung mga bawal na at yung papaano ginagawa at yung procedure, the whole procedure until such time na matapos at magkaroon ng amicable settlement, or the effect of which kung may settlement or wala. So, kung walang settlement, there would be an issuance of certificate to file action. And by the way, mediation in DTI is mandatory. It's a prerequisite before filing a formal complaint at our adjudication level. So, ano siya? Mandatory siya. Mandatory ang mediation sa DTI. So, what are other reasons kung paano na-issue yung certificate to file action? Kapag hindi umattend yung respondent ng 2 consecutive schedules, hindi ma-issuean ng certificate to file action, or kung hindi malocate, so mag-issue pa rin mag-i-issue pa rin yung mediation officer ng certificate to file action. And after, kung may settlement naman, the parties may opt to have this registered yung kanilang agreement sa mediation, and doon pwede nang based on the agreement magbigay ng resolution ng adjudication officer. So malaking bagay ang mediation sa amin para ma-declog yung aming dockets for adjudication, at mas mabilis kasi ang proseso. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Jojo. Let's hear it from Attorney Tantan from BSP.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting BSP. For BSP, hindi masyadong alam ng mga tao that we also have ADR in our offices. We started in 2006 as just an advocacy for BSP under the bigger context of consumer protection. So we are carving out from DTI yung financial consumer protection naman natin sa BSP. And with the advent, with the passage of RA 11765 last year, na hard code yung ating ADR, which are now consisting of 3 levels of processes for our financial consumers who may have claims, complaints, or concerns against their BSP-supervised institutions. Now, that should be clear kasi there are financial institutions that are not under BSP. Although RA 11765 naman covers all financial regulators, which includes the SEC and the IC and the BSP. So you have to choose kung alin yung regulator that covers or exercises authority over your financial institution. Sa BSP, what we have implementing 11765 is Circular 1169, which was effective just this year. So baby pa po yung hard coding ng ADR sa BSP. We actually have 3 levels. First is the FC, the Financial Consumer Protection Mechanism ng mga bangko. Following from the earlier discussions in the earlier panels, we trusted that the industry and the consumers will have also the spirit of resolving their issues among themselves at first. If that does not happen, then they can escalate, the consumers can escalate to our office, the Consumer Protection and Market Conduct Office. And then we will conduct similar, what seems like a conciliation process. Ang tawag ko is documentary mediation siya. Kasi we have to write a complaint or submit a complaint, and that is forwarded to the senior officers of the BSP supervised entity, and they are required to respond directly to the consumers tapos sagutan. If hindi pa rin masettle sa aming consumer assistance mechanism, then that is the time we refer the complaint either to mediation or adjudication at the choice of the consumer. So it's either gusto pang magpa-mediate yung consumer or diretso na siya sa adjudication. As discussed by our colleagues here, mas formal yung adjudication, evidentiary siya, mediation, voluntary, very confidential, and similar to other agencies, they are done online. Now, for innovations, our siguro pride right now is having our chatbot. We are one of the first central banks and perhaps government agencies to implement a chatbot for filing of complaints. So, the filing of complaints for our consumer assistance mechanism, yung initial process under BSP can be done via our website or BSP Facebook page by just chatting your complaint, submitting your documents there, and then the chatbot automatically forwards the complaint with the attachments to the BSP supervised entity. So it starts the process already. If not satisfied, then that is the time na merong manual process. You send it via email, and then our team handles it. We have been doing this since 2006, 2020 yung chatbot natin. And we are still continuing to innovate and to improve our chatbot. It's AI powered. You can use Tagalog and English in chatting, and it can recognize those languages. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Tantan. So we've heard from our panelists, no, that with the use of ADR, we have declogged 30% and above from the cases in their respective agencies. And we've also learned that everyone, most of our agencies have adopted to innovate, especially during the time of the pandemic, that we all opted to go online and still effectively use ADR in resolving disputes in the agency. So, ma'am and sir, can you please share with us the pivotal role of ADR in realizing the mandates and the functions of your offices? And if there's plans for expansion of your ADR program to help in the effective use of ADR. Let's start again with you, ma'am.
For the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, especially with respect to the resolution of land cases, ADR is very, very crucial for us. Because, as I said, we have thousands of pending land cases, and many of these are aging. Ibig sabihin, mga 5 years or more katandaan na itong mga cases, and it is really one way of declogging and disposing of these pending land cases that have been pending for years is to undergo it into ADR. And we also have another way of speeding up the ADR process. We have this we call this ADR on wheels, wherein pumupunta yung mga ADRO officers dun sa lugar ng, for example, we choose a province, no, and we choose a specific barangay, for example, and then we call the parties for an arbitration, no, and then so they don't have to go to the regional office na far from their homes or to the central offices. They don't have to go there. Kami na ang pumupunta sa kanila. So yun. With the use of ADRO, ADR on wheels, we can say that we have been successful, no? And it's also crucial because yung titling, yung public land titling function of the DNR will not be accelerated if we are swamped with land cases, no? Because as you know, pag may kaso sa lupa, hindi siya magpo-proceed into titling. So, ang statistics natin, we still have about 400,000 hectares of untitled lands. And kasama dito yung may mga kaso, may mga usapin, no? And so it's really our priority that the ADR be implemented properly because we believe pag na-resolve mo itong mga cases na ito through a speedy process, matidiretso siya sa titulo. So, magkakaroon ng security of land tenure yung mga kababayan natin. And I think the key is really to make the parties, the contending parties, understand that the ADR will help them a lot. Kasi baka ang mindset kasi ng ating mga kababayan, no, na may mga usapin sa lupa, they tend to think na ay hindi, ilalaban ko tong karapatan ko sa lupa hanggang sa Supreme Court, no? And then gumasto sila, time, effort, money. Pero pinag-uusapan lang pala, lumagpas lang yung boundary ng lupa niya ng isang metro. You know, it's not worth the effort, no? So sa amin, it's really the mindset, yung how we deliver the message na nakakatulong ang ADR. Something like that. So that's also one of our challenges, yung information dissemination and making the people understand the benefits that they will gain if they settle it amicably. So, yung ADR officers namin are trained to do that.
Thank you, Attorney Emeline.
In our case naman, in the field of intellectual property, it has been proven naman na we really need to protect intellectual property for creativity and innovation to grow, no? At magkaroon ulit ng another IP to solve some of the problems of mankind. And alam naman natin, dito sa Pilipinas, 99.6% of establishments are MSMEs or micro, small, and medium enterprises. So in their case, gusto lang nila, di ba, magtrabaho, palaguin yung negosyo nila, improve yung produkto nila, and they really do not want to be engaged in litigation. Di ba? So, kaya nga, this is an option we're giving to our stakeholders, especially the MSMEs. And so in that case, ADR is really important in protecting the intellectual properties of our kababayans, which is needed, but needed for innovation and creativity, for our country to progress economically.
Thank you, DG Barba. Attorney Jojo, would like to share your...
Thank you, sir. The DTI works to in short, enabling business and empowering consumers. Through this mediation, the consumers will feel na they are empowered. Diba? Kasi they have this parang feeling nila may kasangga sila through the DTI. In fact, we have this no wrong door policy, kaya nga dumami yung number of complaints that we receive. In 2014-15, 3,500 complaints lang kami na re-receive namin. Before, in 2019, to cut the, para mas mabilis, 2019, we received nasa 31,000 complaints. In 2020, due to pandemic, umabot ng 57,000 complaints. And because of the no wrong door policy, dumami. So no wrong door policy means we don't we process we evaluate and we refer them to the proper agency. Hindi namin binabalik sa consumer yung complaint nila. And of course, the DTI, kaya sinabi ko kanina, while we are empowering consumers, at this mediation benefits also yung mga businesses na nagko-comply with the law. So yung mga hindi, because of this DAO 2020, yung aming guidelines, napabilis namin proseso from mediation to adjudication. And the businessmen will benefit from this kasi malalaman na nila meron ba kayong violation or not. That's it.
Thank you, Attorney Georgia. Attorney Tatan, would you like to share?
Yeah, for BSP, you have two questions now. First, yung how it feeds to the mandate of the BSP. As everybody knows, hindi naman dapat involved si BSP sa consumer issues. We are the regulator of banks. So their prudential processes, their operations is what we look at. Now, yung complaints natin, the data is now used for to feed on our regulatory supervision over the financial institutions, over banks. So nakikita namin kung yung policies na ginagawa ng banks are anti-consumer, and then we take that and use that to make the banks, the industry improve on how the processes are being done and how they deliver on their products and services. So yun yung bigger context niya. It will become a part of our market conduct supervision, which is a new authority, also mandate of the BSP under RA 11765. So it going on to the second question on whether we have plans on expansion, ongoing po yung expansion because of the recentness of the law and the circular. So we are just 12 people now sa CPMCO, sa team ko, that processes all complaints against around 25,000 BSP supervised entities. So for this year alone, nasa 36,000 more or less na yung new complaints lang na natanggap namin. And this does not, nainggit ako dun sa 9 ni sir. So this does not include pa yung complaints that are existing since the previous year. And dahil 11765 is more strict and very clear on the timelines that the complaints should be processed, medyo bumibilis yung forwarding natin to mediation. And out of the 36,000 plus complaints, only around 220 complaints have been forwarded to mediation. So I guess that's a testament also of how the initial process of ADR has been effective in giving assistance to our financial consumers.
Thank you, Attorney Tatan. So Attorney Emeline mentioned earlier the challenges that they've encountered, like information, so they address it through the ADRO, the ADR on Wheels. So how about you, sirs? What challenges did you encounter in the implementation of the ADR program in your agencies, and how did you address those challenges or problems, if any, if there are?
I think dun sa mediation namin, there's not much problem, no? Except for expanding the pool of mediators, di ba? So, nag-conduct na kami ng IP mediation accreditation. So, hopefully by January, we'll have new mediators, no? We just launched this arbitration, di ba? And we appointed PDRCI. So, in the meantime, PDRCI yung katulong namin dyan, no, sa arbitration. And I think, well, ano lang naman, December 1, no, or November 30, naging effective. But sa ngayon, wala pang nag-a-apply. But hopefully, we'll be able to conduct an awareness campaign na meron din kaming services na arbitration services, no? Aside from the usual adjudication, mediation. So, this is a new product. And aside from yung bago pa rin namin yung mediation outside of litigation, so we need to conduct more siguro awareness din in those two programs para maraming gumamit ng services namin na yan.
Thank you, DG. Attorney Georgia, for
Ang
DTI.
challenges sa DTI is that meron kaming awareness campaign, di ba? We have a TV program to tell the people kung what we do in DTI. Kaya dumami yung complaints. Aside from the no wrong door policy, of course, we have this program saying that we have complaints handling mechanism. So, paikot-ikot siya eh. So, you need to conduct advocacy, yung awareness campaign, then dadami. So, ikot, sinabi ko dahil we need more mediation officers for this and training and to be able to sustain yung compliance dun sa aming timetable within which to process mediation. And then again, babalik tayo dun sa improvement of the system. So paikot-ikot yung tatlo na yung challenges sa amin. Yung kung dumami just like a production line, mas makonti yung malaki yung capacity, konti yung pumapasok, ipopromote mo na naman that we have this process now na mas mabilis. So paikot-ikot siya. So pag bumilis, dadami pa rin. Another mediation officer, kailangan mas marami pa rin. Sana kasi dami kay Sir ang mediation officer. We only have 7 in DTI sa main office, sa FTEB, to handle the mediation for consumer complaints. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess sa government, pareho yung challenge.
Yes.
First, yung awareness. Sa amin, yung consumers natin, yung financial consumers natin, they do not know about mediation, they do not know about conciliation. Yung mga nawalan ng 300 to 500 pesos sa account nila would want a decision right away na ibalik regardless of the circumstances of the complaint. So, when they come to us, ang reklamo nila, dapat mag-decide si BSP, utusan mo na si bangko na ibalik sa akin yung pera. Well, the process takes time. It's not automatic adjudication. You have to go to the bank and then magka-consumer assistance mechanism tayo, tapos mag-mediation tayo. Sometimes, hindi ito naiintindihan ng financial consumers natin. So, it's part of also of advocacy ni BSP in financial education to inform them of these processes and the limitations that the BSP's powers has also. And yung second na challenge, we are also becoming a victim of our own success. Kaya dumadami yung complaint. In 2006, nung nag-umpisa kami, nasa 100 plus lang yata yung complaint. Ngayon, as I said, is 40,000. Last year, it's just 20,000. So I'm afraid of 2024 already at this point. Kasi alam natin, it's not as fast to create new plantillas in government offices. Hindi ganun kabilis, although may bagong batas, may bagong mandate na binibigay si Congress. And maybe that's also an opportunity when we network with other ADR practitioners. If you have consumer protection advocates here who might be interested in joining BSP, abangan natin yung publications pag na-approve na yung plantilla.
Ayun, no? Calling all ADR advocates. Apply na po tayo sa BSP.
Pag na-approve, ma'am.
Yes, pag na-approve.
Wala pa pong public.
Thank you, Attorney Tanton. So, can you please share with us, sirs and ma'am, your key takeaways of how ADR impacts the country's development and progress? Let's start with you, Attorney Emily. Ladies first daw ma'am.
Sa amin sa DNR, of course, hindi naman maikakaila yung impact ng lupa no sa economic development ng bansa natin, no. As I said, if our public lands are completely titled, no, ibig sabihin lahat may security of land tenure, this will be beneficial to the country because makukolekta natin ng maayos yung mga taxes, no, and the land provides dignity, no? Land titles provide dignity and life to every Filipino. So, pag may sarili kang lupa na titulado at free from claims and conflicts, walang nagko-question, walang naghahabol, and you are residing peacefully in your land, on your parcel of land, and so it's the dignity of every Filipino person, and of course, magbe-benefit ang bansa natin doon. No? So that's the main impact of having a conflict-free land. So, kaya yun yung aming pitch, no, that it's really very important that we pursue ADR in the department, and that's why we continuously train, no? Uubusin namin lahat ng aming opisina to have an ADR officer, and itutuloy-tuloy namin yung training, no, sa kanila. At every year, nagpapa-oath taking kami ng mga bagong ADR officers. So hindi lang ang aming mga ADR officers, not only lawyers, no, lahat ng profession pwede. Basta we have certain qualifications, permanent employee of the DNR, and then may certain number of service already, and then basta pumasa ka dun sa training na napaka-stringent, no? napaka-tindi ng training, no? May bumabagsak sa training na yon before ka pakakawalan to be an ADR officer and handle land cases. So, yon ang aming our ultimate goal is to kahit na to declag yung aming land cases so that magtuloy-tuloy sa pagtititulo ng lupa once we resolve this land cases.
Thank you, Attorney Emeline. DG Roel?
Yes, I already explained earlier the connection between intellectual property, creativity, innovation, leading to economic growth. And ADR is one of the measures that assist in the protection of these IP rights. No? So, ginagawa na lang namin ngayon is to help other government agencies. We have MOUs with CDA, and kung sino man po nangangailangan pa ng tulong or assistance, we're here to assist every government agency to set up their own ADR office. Kung kaya po namin ipadala yung supervisor ng mediation namin sa EU IPO sa Alicante, Spain, kinuha siya doon, sinecond siya for 2 years. No? Para to assist in setting up their own ADR in the European Union IP office. So, andito po kami, yung intellectual property of the Philippines, to assist you in setting up your own ADR office.
Thank you, DG Barba. So you've heard, no? iFulfill is available to our colleagues in government na hindi pa po nasi-set up yung inyong ADR office. You can go to iFulfill and they will help you set up also. Same with us in OADR. We will also help you set up your ADR programs in your agencies. So let's hear it from Attorney Jojo.
Gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, mediation or alternative dispute resolution enables consumers and it empowers consumers and enables businesses for globally competitive economy.
Thank you, Attorney Jojo. Attorney Tantan?
Yung complaints data natin feeds on policy. One very clear example is the FCPA, yung Financial Consumer Protection Act, RA 11765, which was passed by Congress using the data, the complaints data that we have. Meron tayong mga credit card circulars on rates and interest that are fed by complaints data. What kind of complaints ba yung natatanggap natin? What kind of yung may mga nagpipeak, halimbawa in this year. So these are used to produce policies that are responsive to consumer protection needs and welfare. That's the first primary impact siguro noong ating ADR processes sa BSP.
Thank you, Attorney Tantan. So we've heard DJ Roel earlier, he mentioned that they will help set up yung mga other government agencies who don't have yet their ADR programs. So any additional message before we end this discussion? Attorney Emeline? Yes, concluding statement. Or if there's anything that you would like to promote from DNR.
For us in the DNR, of course, una, nagpapasalamat kami for being part of this event, for this convention. And of course, OADR kay Ma'am Yusek Alugok. And then, we are glad that we were invited here, and we're on the right track, no? Sa department, we are continuously studying the process of ADR with the view of further improving our systems, our processes. Baka may mga kulang pang pulisiya na may mga policy gaps kaming tinitingnan, and this will be a continuous process for DNR. No? We will not stop, and that patuloy namin titingnan kung ano pa yung mga kailangang gawin to improve the ADR process. As I said kanina, kulang pa kami ng ADR officers. Dapat one senro, mahigit 1,000 yung ang senros namin, and we're just in 400 something ADR officers. So, kulang pa kami. In fact, naglalagari yung aming mga ADR officers. But we have also a system. Sometimes kung kahit na nandito ka sa region na ito, for example, you're in region 1, you can be pulled as an ADRO in another region, yung neighboring region. So meron kaming guidelines on that. So patuloy kaming nag-iisip kung paano pa ma-improve yung sistema. Also, we're thinking of yung technology, use of technology, because sa ngayon, ang ano pa lang namin, ang use of ang database namin is on ADR MRS, no, yung it's some kind of a monitoring tool, no, to track the status of these cases, no. And then on the mindset, we still have to address that mindset of the contending parties and of the DNR personnel themselves, no, kasi sa tingin ko, training is not enough, no. But of course, we have to look at the mindset of the ADR officers, no? Baka hindi naman siya advocate of ADR, no? Baka hindi siya naniniwala sa ADR in the first place. So, dapat tingnan natin yun, no? Kasi sabi ko nga, bago ka mag-ADR officer, naniniwala ka ba sa ADR? That's my first question. Kasi kung di ka naniniwala, out ka na sa akin, no? Kasi magmumula yun talaga sa attitude mo. So, that's true naman sa ating mga empleyado ng gobyerno, di ba? So, yun, yung advocacy mo, you have to believe in ADR. You have to be a believer, no? So that we can be really successful in our ADR processes.
Thank you, Attorney Emily. Did you well?
We currently have pending bills, no, in Congress on the amendments of the Intellectual Property Code. And we made sure that ADR was included as one of the mandates of the Bureau of Legal Affairs. So we can institutionalize it, no? And in the process, we changed the mindset, no, of all, well, sa amin IP litigants, no, IP stakeholders, from an IP adjudication mindset to IP alternative dispute resolution. So yun yung gusto naming mandate or moving forward. Alam naman natin, Pilipino masyadong, di ba, mapusok, gusto demanda agad, di ba? So I think it's high time that we give them the opportunity to talk first, di ba? Before maging personalan yung laban, which is usually the case sa adjudication. Thank you.
Thank you, DJ Ruel. Jojo.
As mentioned a while ago by yung previous na panelist, the DTI has on its final stage yung online dispute resolution system. But then it's not BTRCP or Bureau of Trade Regulation Protection. It's, although it's same office, it's Consumer Policy and Advocacy Bureau ng DTI that handles the online dispute resolution system that has been launched previously.
Thank you, Attorney Jojo. Yes, Attorney Tantan.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much po for inviting us again. And dahil nga bago pa lang yung mediation namin and ADR, we look forward, actually, we welcome your invitation about us working yung OADR and the BSP further. I think we really also need trainings on our mediation officers and our consumer specialists, especially in handling and furthering ADR also in the BSP. So thank you very much po. And sa atin pong practitioners and consumers, if you have complaints against your banks and other BSP supervised entities, go to your banks first. Kapag hindi na resolved, then come to BSP. You can use our chatbot and send an email to consumeraffairs@bsp.gov.ph po.
Thank you, Attorney Tantan. So thank you so much to our distinguished panelists this afternoon. For us at OADR, we continue to learn with our partners and colleagues at the ADR community, and we hope that someday soon, in the near future, we will accredit more ADR public programs. So we encourage you, available daw po ang iFopil to help you set up your own ADR offices. So with that, thank you once again and good afternoon to everyone.
Maraming salamat muli, Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, at Department of Trade and Industry sa pakikibahagi sa NADRC. Naway ang inyong mga karanasan ay magsilbing inspirasyon sa iba pang tanggapan ng gobyerno sa pag-establish ng kani-kanilang sariling ADR program. Sa parte namang ito, tayo na ay tumungo sa huling bahagi ng episode, ang professionalization of ADR. Sa session na ito, ating inimbitahan sina Attorney Maria Luisa Dominique D. Mauricio, Associate Solicitor sa Office of the Solicitor General, Attorney J. Patrick R. Santiago, Senior Vice President for International Initiatives ng Philippine Institute of Arbitrators, at si Attorney Jeffrey B. Constantino na nagsilbing moderator. Siya ay isang partner sa Cadiz, Tabayoyong, Hilado and Constantino Law Offices. Ano-ano nga ba ang kinakailangang gawing paghahanda para maging isang ADR practitioner? At ano-ano ang mga maaaring maging career sa larangang ito? Atin na pong alamin, panoorin po natin ito.
Very much. Good afternoon. All right. I hope we enjoyed our snacks. And good afternoon, everyone. And it's a pleasure to be here. And thank you very much for the generous introduction. Allow me to introduce our esteemed panelists for this afternoon, for this particular session. Our first panelist is Attorney J. Patrick R. Santiago. He is an independent ADR practitioner based in the Philippines. He is an attorney in the Philippines and a qualified solicitor in England and Wales with over a decade of legal experience in Hong Kong and Manila. He has acted as an arbitrator, counsel, party representative, and tribunal secretary in multiple domestic and international arbitrations. He is currently a trustee of the Philippine Institute of Arbitrators, a member of the Professional Development and Education Committee of the Asian Institute of Alternative Dispute Resolution, a member of the ICC Young Arbitrators Forum, in-house counsel committee, a country representative of HK45, and a co-chair of the SciArb YMG Philippine chapter. He is an accredited arbitrator of the Philippine Dispute Resolution Center, the Philippine International Center for Conflict Resolution, and the OADR of the Philippines. He is part of the expert pool of the Benchmark Chambers International and Benchmark International Mediation Center. Jay obtained his LLM degree with merit from the London School of Economics and Political Science and his JD degree, second honors, the St. Thomas More Most Distinguished Graduate Awardee from the Ateneo de Manila University School of Law, where he currently teaches conflict of laws. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause, please, for Attorney J. Patrick R. Santiago. Our next panelist, someone whom you are already familiar with, is Attorney Maria Luisa Dominic D. Mauricio. Louie is a State Solicitor 1 at the Office of the Solicitor General. She finished Speech Communication, magna cum laude in 2011 at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, where she also obtained her Juris Doctor degree in 2015. She obtained her Master of Laws at Columbia Law School in 2019. She has experience in domestic and international investment, commercial, and administrative arbitrations in different capacities while in the OSG. She is part of several teams that have been handling international commercial disputes, investment disputes, and enforcement disputes involving the Republic of the Philippines. She is an MCLE lecturer on ADR for the IP Academy of the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines and the Integrated Bar of the Philippines RSM chapter, and has been lecturing for the Philippine Dispute Resolution Center and Office for Alternative Dispute Resolution on Arbitration. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause, please, for Attorney Louis Mauricio.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jay. Good afternoon po to everyone.
So, for this afternoon's topic, we're given quite a peculiar topic if you're trying to look at it side by side with the overall theme of this conference. So we have for us this afternoon is professionalization of ADR. So what comes to mind with in tying up this particular topic with the overall theme of our conference is that we have heard emerging trends and innovations, the use of technology in ADR, what's in store for ADR in the future, what particular opportunities are coming up, and what particular areas can we still explore in ADR. However, most of these topics are more beneficial for those of us who are already familiar or are already part of the ADR profession. You see, but however, for persons who have yet to participate, who have yet to involve themselves in ADR, it's mostly them looking from the outside looking in, and they can hardly appreciate all of these. So I think it's also important for us to give an opportunity for others who would like to become part of the ADR profession to get an insight, what it takes, and what steps are available for them to become part of this profession. Hence the topic, professionalization in ADR. Okay? So, let's try to be more specific. When it comes to professionalization of ADR, one thing that comes to mind right now is about choosing ADR as your primary career, as your profession. In some books, international, in some international authors consider some modes of ADR as a helping profession. Okay, such as mediation and conciliation. It helps people resolve disputes. It helps people come together, explore their mutual interest, and resolve disputes. And so, for us to appreciate ADR as a profession, it would be important for us to consider it as a career, something that we would like to become part of and to be able to actively contribute to its development. And so with that, let's try to explore from our panelists. How was it for them? What are we talking about? What does having a career in arbitration or in ADR, what does a career in ADR entail? And can we be prepared for it? Is there a unique path towards it? So let's hear from our panelists. Before that, I would like to ask our panelists, what was before you were able to become part of the ADR profession, or to have established yourself in a career in ADR? What was it like for you? What was the ADR profession back then? What were your impressions of the ADR profession back then, Jay?
All right, I think I can start. When I became a lawyer in the Philippines, it was the time when the DOJ issued the IRR. So actually, prior to that, I have no knowledge about ADR because it was never taught in law school. I never took it as an elective. So I only know that people can go to arbitration and go to mediation because the law is there, but I'm not very familiar about it. So it was only when I was in a law firm that when I first got the opportunity to join an international commercial arbitration before the ICC, that I learned more about arbitration and at the same time mediation. So it was that time when my interest on ADR actually sparked, because it was I really wanted to be an advocate in dispute resolution, but I hated going to court. And I realized that, in ADR, in arbitration, everything that I love about advocacy is there, but everything I hate about court litigation is not there. Because there are no delayed schedules. The hearing rooms are better, among others. And it was also at that time when, as I said, the IRR of RA 9285 was issued. So it was a good opportunity for new practitioners to start specializing, because it was only at that time when RA 9285 became clearer as to how it will be implemented. And you're kind of at the same level playing field as compared to the other more seasoned practitioners. So it was really a good opportunity for new practitioners to step in and start specializing on the field.
Thank you, Jay. How about you, Louie?
Narinig niyo ba po ako? Ayan. So for me naman, I just wanna do a trip down memory lane, and maybe that would contextualize my answer, if you guys would allow me. I'm actually an only child po of 2 litigation lawyers. So when growing up, sasama nila po ako sa court. Pag vacation, I'd go to them to court, tapos I'll see the judge, ganyan. And all of their cases were being brought to court. So I grew up thinking na courts dapat nire-resolve yung mga disputes natin. So that's what I grew up in. That's why I went to law school. That was my intention for going to law school. In my head, after 4 years, pupunta ako sa korte day in and day out. Pagtatanggol ko yung kliyente ko sa harapan ng korte. Tapos uwi ako, gagawa ko ng pleading, di ako matutulog, ganon. So that was my entire idea of what lawyering was like. And then, I joined the OSG. And one of the first things that happened to me during, when I was in my first few days in OSG, nagparang internal talk po si Attorney Jane Yu, so si Senior State Solicitor Jane Yu. She did a talk on arbitration and the West Philippine Sea. So at that time po, when I graduated law school, yun yung lumabas yung West Philippine Sea Award. So I was like, what's this new thing? It's something that I did not study in law school, like Jay. Something that I didn't know about. But there's this person right here that's respected in our office and that talks about this kind of dispute resolution mechanism, like it's the best thing that's ever happened to our profession. So what I did was I tried to look for seminars. I attended the CARB New York seminar, and then there nakamit po ako ng Filipino. Yung Filipino sabi sa akin, maybe you should go and take a seminar in PDRCI. So I was part of the 13th CATS seminar of the PDRCI. And then after that, I went to LLM. Mahaba na. I went for an LLM. In LLM, naka-roommate ko po, isang associate dati ng Kisumbing Torres, si Grace Lazaro. And si Grace, pinakilala po ako sa mga Kisumbing Torres partners, Don Mark, at that time. And Attorney Don Mark graciously introduced me to the arbitration community. So I guess my point lang is, whereas CJ, very traditional yung introduction of arbitration and ADR sa kanya, I took the more circular route, and yeah, I guess that's how I can encapsulate my ADR journey. Ikaw, Jeff, how was your experience?
Well, for me, yung sa akin, I was fortunate enough to have taken ADR in school, to have taken it in law school. And so first day of class, somebody comes in and introduces himself, June Bautista, who just flew in from Hong Kong. Sabi ko, wow, somebody just to hold class. He's based in Hong Kong. He's holding classes in UP every Saturday. and he's flying in just to hold classes. It's as if he just went to the mall and met somebody and went home. So that was astounding for me as a law student, because at that time it was offered at our senior year, and in your senior year you're already hammered with the rules of court and everything about procedure, the tediousness of it, the complexity of it. Okay, the circuitous routes that are provided under the rules, the remedies that you have to memorize to be able to avail or to be able to correctly pursue your case. And then suddenly somebody tells you, here it is, here's a flow of how arbitration is done, how your case can be decided in a few months' time, how you can select the tribunal who will be able to resolve your dispute. And it's all without intervention of government. And for any law student, that would be mind-blowing, that what did I spend my third year for? And then you're suddenly telling me this. But again, of course, that was high expectations from a law student. Okay, so that's how the ADR profession was for me. It was a very much different take-off from what you were used to, what you were trained in law school, and what you were actually preparing for the bar, because ADR is not part of the bar exams at that time. Okay, so that was it for me. So from then on, so being outsiders in the ADR profession, so how was it when you started involving yourselves in ADR? What was the environment when you tried to initiate yourselves into practicing ADR, any form of ADR?
All right.
Jay?
Well, as I mentioned before, my first experience in arbitration was when the law firm included me in a team in an ICC arbitration. So it was at that time when I realized that I want to really focus on this field. But I was like, how am I going to focus on this field? How do I become better? And now, at where I am right now, I kind of think about, what were the factors that brought me to where I am right now? And I always think of three things. It's always experience, education, and your CV, right? And let me explain that. When you say education, it's all about gaining the knowledge about ADR. So it's not enough that you actually attend courses. Louis mentioned about the PDRCI course, right? It's not enough that you just take one course, right? There are a lot of other opportunities out there for you to educate yourself on the field of ADR. Even there are other organizations that provide for trainings. There are also courses in other universities. You may take an LLM if you want, even a doctorate if you want, or you can take courses from, let's say, the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators and also the Philippine Institute of Arbitrators. There are really a lot of resources out there and organizations. Even OADR has their own trainings, right? So educate yourself and learn what the field is all about. The second thing is experience. Right? So after you educate yourself, how do you start gaining experience? It is, I think, quite tricky how you get your experience, because as a newbie, you don't know where to start. You don't know where to start. But I think you get this through the connections that you will get from the organizations that you met while you were educating yourself about arbitration. Right? So when you get to know people from the Philippine Institute of Arbitrators, when you get to know people, let's say when you attend the training at the SIAC, the Singapore International Arbitration Center, when you meet people, when you start attending the Tribunal Secretary Workshop of the Hong Kong International Arbitration Center, right, or the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, you get to meet people. Right? And it's through those connections that you find the opportunities that are available. Right? When you educate yourself, you see the different players in ADR. Ano nga ba ang pwede kong gawin? Do I just become an arbitrator when I think about becoming an ADR practitioner? Or can I be a tribunal secretary? Can I be a file counsel? Can I be a counsel in an institution? How do I become some of them? right? So that's where you educate yourself and start meeting people, and from there, learning the opportunities that are available, right? You can be an intern at an ADR organization. The SIAC, the HKIAC, they do provide internships. I think the PDRCI will be providing internship opportunities as well, right? There are also opportunities to intern in law firms, right? On let's say, their ADR practice, so that you can experience more and more. Or you can join organizations, and when you join organizations, you can act as a tribunal secretary of a well-known arbitrator, right? And you just need to volunteer yourselves, right? So that's experience. So next is CV, right? When you say CV, it's about putting it out there, like making people know that you do this and you're interested to do this, right? So that's where you start, you're strengthening the connections. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is super important. Social media, the power of LinkedIn and social media is super important. Reaching out to potential employers, right? So the CV is super important. But mind you, if you only have a good CV, but you have no experience, you have no education, you didn't learn anything from any of those, it will not work, right? So all of these ingredients must come together, very well in order for you to survive, and to survive as well as to flourish in this field.
Thank you, Jay. How about you, Louie? I'm interested to know, when you stepped in OSG, how was it? What was the environment for you that led to your involvement in ADR? Was there immediately an opportunity available that you were in fact being dragged into that opportunity? Or was it really more for you of trying to seek an opening, seek a possible mentor, seek a colleague that you can somehow get some advice? How was it for you?
Thank you, Jeff, for that question. But I guess my answer to your question is through a Bible verse. Diba? Sabi sa Bible, ask and you shall receive. And it's actually a mantra that I live by. And I guess that's how I'll answer your question. There isn't much, at least for me, the cases that I would be getting would be more of the litigation side. And I guess that's the question of most of us here, no? Na how exactly can you practice ADR kung, for example, nakita ko yung mga bagong friends ko from the Rufino office of a GCC over there. For example, sa mga ahensya po ba natin, di ba? Wala namang ADR doon. In general, wala namang, pag-awahin mo yung dalawang tao para makapag-ano ka, di ba? So there's not an opportunity in a traditional sense wherein you become an arbitrator, you become a mediator, or you become a counsel. That doesn't happen to you overnight. Like pagising mo, sabi mo, gusto ko maging arbitrator, and then may lalapit na sa'yo with a request for arbitration. That really does not happen. And that was also, that's also something that did not happen to me. So what happened to me was, I had to reach out to people, both in our office and also outside. And you'd find that actually yung mga nasa harapan po ninyo ngayon, those people are very friendly, very amiable, and very much willing to help you. And I speak to one of my good mentors that was here, na kiniklaim po nila na pinanalo ko daw sa Christmas party kagabi, Attorney Salvador Panga Jr. Just come forward and ask them for their advice. What exactly can you do as of the moment? And they give it to you. I just want to share one story. I'm sure you guys don't know this. Yes. So ako po, I'm actually the co-chair of the Young Philippine Institute of Arbitrators now. But when I was but way back in 2019, sila po yung mga nasa Young PI-ARB noon. Tapos lagi naming iniisip.
Young pa rin naman kami.
Tapos wala na po yung age nila sa young. Pero so sila po yun. Tapos nung time na yun, I was with a friend, si Tanya. We would say na, ay, parang nakakahiyang pumunta sa mga Young PI-ARB events. Kasi parang barkada sila. So that's what we would describe you. Para silang barkada, kasama sina Attorney Cams, ganun. But then, following my mantra that you should just ask and you will receive, once you approach Jay, surprisingly, he is very kind and very much generous in letting you know, okay, you can probably do this, apply
Surprise
for
ka pa.
this. Na-surprise ako siya. So you can do this, you can apply for this. You'd find that these people that are more experienced now are very much willing to help everyone out in terms of pointing you to the right directions. Sino ba yung makakatulong sa'yo? Sino ba yung makakapagbigay sa'yo ng experience mo, ng potentially arbitration mo in the future? So yun. So it's just something building off from what Jay said. When you network intentionally. Make sure na yung mga kakausapin mo would be people that you want something from, and not in a user way, but more of in a relationship kind of manner.
Okay, so tapos na po yung talk natin. If you want a career in arbitration, seek Jay Santiago. That's the moral of this whole panel. Okay. So, but kidding aside, but after having experienced it for yourself, how do you assess right now the environment for people who would want to follow your steps? Because we tried to follow somebody else's steps, we experienced it, and how about people who would want to take that path right now? Because I'm sure this audience have varying degrees of experience in ADR, or varying degrees of involvement in ADR. And I'm sure a lot of here will be interested to note, or for those who are already well experienced in arbitration or in ADR, it might come in handy for them to become more sensitive that maybe I can help somebody, I can influence somebody to become or to pursue ADR as a career. Okay, so how would that be for you?
Okay, well, for me, I think just to clarify, when you talk about career in ADR, I hope you don't think na you're gonna quit your job and just do ADR, and you're gonna be an arbitrator all of a sudden. You're just gonna be in the ADR field, and that will be enough bread and butter for you to live. You know, it's gonna be your livelihood. I mean, realistically, that's not gonna happen overnight. You have to build your experience, your network, as well as your knowledge, you know, to prosper and stay long in this career, right? What I can say now is, when you talk about the path, you're not just looking at one path. And as you mentioned earlier, there are many ways to go about it, right? And hindi siya parang one straight path lang. Like for instance, in my case, I started in a law firm, and then after that, I got interested in ADR, and I went to another law firm in QT, and they were doing ADR there. There were a lot of opportunities there because they were very active in arbitration organizations. But I realized kulang pa. So I went to Hong Kong and worked at HKIAC as a counsel. For 3 years of my life, I was doing 100% ADR. So yun, talagang ADR siya 100% because I was working in an arbitral institution. And I think at that point, I really specialized on it. But when I thought I'm done and I realized I'm okay, what else can I do? I took a master's degree because I think I need to show that I have further education. Again, CV, we're talking about CV, right? And then also I qualified in England and Wales. Because why did I do that? Because again, it's a CV as well as education. A lot of arbitrations in this region are based on common law jurisdictions. Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, they're all common law jurisdictions, and their basis was generally English law. So I took that as well to be more relevant in this jurisdiction, and came back to the Philippines and start practicing it, right? So that's my path. But on the side of Louie, she has a different path, right? I know naman someone who went to si Earl Dolera. Diba? She went to Singapore, studied her master's, worked as a tribunal secretary diba, of Lawrence Bu. And then from there, she worked at the arbitration chambers of Singapore. And then she got opportunities there, acted as arbitrator in SIAC arbitrations. And now she heads the arbitration practice of a law firm in Vietnam. So there are a lot of ways to go about it. There's really not just one. But what's important is you need to have a goal, right? And once you have that goal and you have the different pieces, you draw in the different pieces to reach that goal. That's when you start to connect the different pieces that will allow you to reach that goal. Right? So it's not just one way to go about it. But as Louis said, a lot of the organizations in the Philippines welcome your volunteerism, your help, your assistance, right? And these are opportunities for you to be active in these organizations, get to be known by these organizations, learn more about the practice, and it's through those organizations that can probably catapult your career in ADR. Presently, all of these organizations are there. We have the Philippine Institute of Arbitrators, the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, arbitral organizations, institutions such as the PDRCI, the PICCR, even the OADR. Right? These are all organizations where you just need to reach out your hand and tell them, and volunteer, raise your hand. I'm willing to help. I'm willing to learn. Right? Choose me. And of course, do well when you volunteer yourself. Right? And I'm sure you will find that it can start your ADR career. Might not be instantly, but in the long run, it will happen.
Yes, Louis.
So yeah, I completely agree with everything that Jay said. But just I'll be, if it's okay, I will just piggyback on that. Sabi ni Jay, collect the dots for you to reach your goal. Some of the dots that I can sort of share with everyone is number one, volunteer in as much as anything that you can volunteer on. There are journals as well. Local journals right now that are looking for articles. We encourage you to write. That's another way of putting your name out there. And another way is actually having yourself.
Well, actually, writing articles is a very effective way. So oftentimes, I would send a message to the GC of Young PIR. I would say, I want to prepare an article that will be published in Kluwer Arbitration blog. If anyone's interested on this topic, let me know, right? They're going to prepare the first draft. I'm going to revise it, then we publish it. Then through that, your name gets published. You'll be known in that field.
Pwede po malaman sino yung mga 40 years old below. Paris po ng hand, 40 years old.
40 below.
Below. Okay. So,
you just made enemies. You just made a lot of
reveal.
enemies, Louis.
Age reveal.
You just made a lot of enemies.
so ano po kayo? Sa PR kayo? Sa other, young PR, 40 and below. So nabilang ko na po ng bike hand. I'm kidding. Yung 40 years old. So yun po, in our organizations, Jay is very generous in terms of letting the younger generation know kung ano ba yung opportunities na pwede. Oftentimes, he would let us know if we can collaborate with him. So that's another way of putting yourself out there. Lumapit po kayo sa a very experienced practitioner. Tanong nyo sa kanila, gusto nyo ba mag-write ng something or just to do something with them? And that would actually help you sort of put yourself out there. So that's one thing. And another thing is, wag po kayo magsasawa. I know it gets repetitive. Going to seminars, going to trainings. Sometimes pare-pareho lang kayong naririnig. But then it's not really yung pare-pareho kayong naririnig, but really the added knowledge that you get from listening every single time and also the people that you meet. So, you don't pag nag-go through training kayo together, iba po yung bonding. Especially po kung may assessment na kayo together. Iba yung bonding ninyo. And that bonding would help you find opportunities then for you in the future. You'll never know kung sino po yung makakatabi nyo. You'll never know kung sino po yung makakausap nyo during lunch. So I think that's one important thing that I can give in terms of finding the dots in your maze towards your goal.
And I think just in relation to that, you're finding the dots, right? But what actually holds all the dots together towards your goal is that you're loving what you're doing, right? You need to love what you're doing. You got to have the passion. Ako personally, ADR is my advocacy. So meron ako recently talk for 1 hour. I had to fly in the Visayas. Just a talk for 1 hour just to talk about drafting arbitration clauses. When they asked me, go. Go ako agad, right? And no questions. Hindi ko na tinanong magkano babayad nyo. O kahit walang bayad yan, di ba? Kahit libre.
Take note, take note, take note, take note.
Kaya po niya pro bono.
Recorded po, recorded.
No, I mean, really, if you're
Santiago.
passionate about it, right? It's one way of also marketing yourselves, right? First of all, of course, you're passionate about it. You can talk about the topic anytime you want. Kahit na online yan sa Zoom. Like one time, merong isang university sa Visayas, they were preparing for the Vismut competition and they needed parang an overview of ADR for their students. Parang I was willing then and there, a 2-hour course on ADR, biglaan, just to tell them what ADR is all about, right? That's passion. And if you're passionate about what you're doing, hindi ka mapapagod. Kaya sinasabi ni Louie, huwag kayong mapapagod, pero hindi ka mapapagod if you're doing what you love, right? Because you know that you're helping. You're helping people. And as for mga lawyers, as a legal professional, think about your lawyer's oath, right? And your obligation to the judiciary. Because what we're doing is declogging court dockets, right? This also, what we're doing is, yung disposition of justice is actually good for our profession. So yun lang, siguro idadagdag ko sa sinabi ni Louie.
Yes, thank you for that, Jay. Because I'm also reminded of some of what my mentor would try to impart to me as I was starting in the profession. In the ADR, that's why I really found it interesting that it was called helping profession. Because I think some of us would have already heard, inaayos naman natin yung mga buhay natin eh. Pero ang hirap na tayo yung umaayos nung gulo ng iba. Di ba? Yung hindi pagkakasundo ng iba. Because that itself is tiring. That itself somehow consumes a lot of energy from us to be able to do our best, to be able to become impartial and not to be emotionally involved in those, and to still maintain a high degree of professionalism and expertise in what we are doing. Okay? So, sige, kanina, we'll also try to manage expectations for some of us who are already, some of us who might think that it's already a very green pasture for us, waiting for us to take advantage of. Right now, looking back, what were the challenges that you faced into being involved in the ADR profession that, on hindsight, you could have better prepared for?
Mahirap na ako na yung una. So, thank you, Jeff, for that question. Challenges, that I could have better prepared for. I think,
On hindsight,
looking
back I think yung pala
dapat I did something better, ganon. I think for me, what I could have done more, I guess, was to study more. I don't think I have actually studied that much ADR. And also, at one point kasi during the pandemic, sino ba dito yung parang na-burnout na lang sa buhay tapos ayaw na lang, parang ganon. So that happened to me for quite some time. So I stopped going to lectures, I stopped learning. And for me, sayang yung period na yun. So I guess parang if I could tell 2019 Louie, something, it's you use this pandemic to help you enrich yourself more. Attend as much webinars as you can, read as much books as you can, and just utilize the internet, since this is a time that you're literally just in front of it the entire time. So I think that's something that I should have utilized more. Constant learning. Of course, that's something that I can rectify naman. So right now, as we move forward. So I guess that's something also that I commit to doing more. Wag ako makampante. Stay hungry. Kung may lecture dyan, attendan mo. If there's a conference, wag kang tamarin kahit na maaga magising. And that's because there will be something new that you will learn. And we are dynamic individuals. We could not just be contented with our knowledge today or as of this moment. It has to be umaakyat ng umaakyat. We have to always strive for something better. So I guess that's what I wanna.
Sigurado kami na marami kayong napulot na aral mula kina Attorney Mauricio, Attorney Santiago at Attorney Constantino. Ang panel discussion na ito ay naging makabuluhan higit lalo sa mga nais na mag-pursue ng career sa larangan ng ADR. Muli, isang taus-pusong pasasalamat sa lahat ng mga nagpaunlak na maging kabahagi ng NADRC 2023, lalong-lalo na sa mga experts na nagsilbing resource persons at moderators. Ang tagumpay ng convention na ito ay naging posible dahil sa inyong pakikiisa. Ito po ang munting handog namin para sa inyong lahat. Panoorin po natin ito.
For the fourth year in a row, the Office for Alternative Dispute Resolution is bringing us the largest gathering of experts, organizations, and institutions within the local and international ADR communities to further the cause of alternative dispute resolution.
It is my honor to welcome all of you in the 4th National ADR Convention with the theme Emerging Trends and Innovations in Dispute Resolution. In the succeeding year, as the world transitions to the so-called new normal, the convention highlighted justice in the digital era, particularly on the synergy of traditional ADR and technology.
Those present today, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to help the DOJ take on the challenge of trying to attain real justice in real time. The importance and magnitude of today's convention is made apparent not only by the number of attendees present, but by the composition of the same. Today, we lay down the path towards substantive and procedural reforms in the Philippine justice system by exploring available opportunities brought about by ADR.
As Chief Justice Alexander Gespunto aptly stated, ADR is no longer an alternative, but a necessary means in the administration of justice. We are now pacing the path to the future where ADR plays a pivotal role in enhancing the administration of justice, contributing to a fair and just society. We can expect a more robust and strengthened ADR practice in our country.
At dito na po nagtatapos ang Part 2 ng NADRC 2023 at ang Season 1 ng Usapang ADR. Maraming salamat po sa inyong walang sawang pagsuporta sa OADR at syempre dito sa amin sa Usapang ADR. Naging makulay at makabuluhan ang ating talakayan sa buong taon ng 2023 dahil sa inyong pagtangkilik sa aming mga programa. Magkita-kita tayong muli sa susunod na taon para sa panibagong season ng Usapang ADR. Huwag kalimutan na i-like, i-follow at mag-subscribe sa aming official social media pages. I-search lamang po ang @OADR Official sa Facebook, Instagram at YouTube. Ako po muli ang inyong host dito sa Usapang ADR, Joyce Ria Estares. Tumutok at makibahagi sa makabuluhang usapan patungkol sa ADR. Dahil sa ADR, mas madali, mas mabilis at mas praktikal ang pagkamit ng hustisya.
Kaya naman, papakilala ko na po sa inyo ang ating pong unang paumanhin. Paumanhin ay ang Senior Legal Counsel ng Angara, Abello, Concepcion, Regala, and Cruz Law Offices.
Pages. At kayo po ay makisali sa aming mga usapin dahil sa ADR. Nakalimutan ko. May mali ako kasi nakita ko Ayan. So, kayo po ay huwag kakalimutang sumunog. Maya-maya lamang po yan. We'll pause for a break. Sorry, hindi ko kasi alam yung sasabihin. Nakalimutan ko. But I can just repeat it. I-search lamang po ang @OADR. Mas praktikal. Yun yung nakita! Huwag kayo magalit sa akin! Wait lang!
Good afternoon po mga kaibigan.
Ayun yung susunod yung banda na diyan sa gilid. Dapat ganun yun. Di pala yung band.
Teka lang. Teka lang one.
Ganun.
Uy, Tom. Ano, maganda? Oo, gusto ko na makita. Teka, pwede ba kami pa dyan? Di ba ako nakikita? Nakalapag ba yun?
Kuya, pati magabi. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wala ko.
I-like niyo na rin po yung Facebook page. Tara! Ang barangay na ninyo ang ma-feature natin dito sa Barangay ADR!
Dadaan pala kasi siya. Isang maganda at mapayapang para mas mapanatili natin ang kaayusan at kapayapaan sa ating mga komunidad. Ako po muli
Nakuha niya ang kanyang angat mo, sorry. Is it wrong, dalabing mo na? Isa na namang makabuluhang usapan ang hatid sa... sorry. Alam mo nang, I'm trying kasi to not look at it. That's my problem. Sige, sorry, can I just restart?